Welcome back to Driftwood Conversations. I'm Hillary Sloan. In part one of my conversation with artist, activist, and educator Sant Khalsa, we explored her early life in New York, her spiritual and artistic evolution, and her profound connection to trees, water, and the natural world. In this second part, we'll pick up where we left off and explore her curatorial work, her latest exhibitions, and her reflections on the desert community she now calls home. Let's return to that conversation. Sant, we've talked about your creative and spiritual path, but I always ask my guests to go back a bit. Life brings challenges, sometimes quietly, sometimes with force, and those moments often mark us. Can you tell me about a time when life wasn't so clear and how you moved through it?
Oh my goodness. I've had so many challenges. Doesn't everyone have challenges in their life? Well, I mean, for me, I see, because I'm such a problem solver, I just see challenges as opportunities. Opportunities to find solutions, to grow, to, become a better human being. I mean, that's how I see it all. So now I don't even really think a lot about all of those challenges that became opportunities. For instance, I now have a granddaughter that is 1.5 years. And so I always say the 3 things that I am most proud of, that I think are my greatest accomplishments, are my son, the planting of a forest, and all of my students that are out in the world making art, doing teaching, curating, and doing other important things. I have art students that became doctors and attorneys and politicians. And so for me, I feel like my life has been about planting seeds, the seed that brought about my son and now my grandchild, and the seeds of my students, and planting seeds through teaching, and then planting actual seedlings that created a forest.
It's pretty incredible. That's beautiful. That's such a generous perspective, seeing challenges as opportunities to plant something new. That's really the heart of this show. Driftwood Conversations is about how we're shaped by the tides of life. I ask that question not to dwell on difficulty, but to see what's emerged on the other side. Because I think that's important. And when we hear someone else having that point of view, I think it builds us up.
I'm grateful for everything, all the challenges. And I don't want to go into the details, but like everyone, I've had health issues, I've had monetary issues, I've had relationship issues. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Just, we all go through all of this. And I am grateful that, I've had all the people in my life who have been there to support me through the rough times. Friends and family and community are really important.
And that's what you built out here in Joshua Tree, is a very solid community.
Well, I feel like I was very fortunate to grow up in a wonderful community. Riverdale in New York was an incredible community. As a youngster, I felt like I had a lot of friends. And to this day, those people, many of them are still friends. And most of the people that I grew up with became creatives. They're artists and musicians and writers and performers. And I just came from a place where people got into the arts. So I had that. And then I had my spiritual community. And though I chose to leave that community because it no longer met my expectations, that was a very strong community. And then being at Cal State San Bernardino for 3 decades in an academic community, I had that community. That was wonderful. All my colleagues, all the students, all the staff, every day I drive onto campus And there's a community of people who all had the same purpose, and that was teaching and learning, helping people, keep giving people opportunity, sharing knowledge. It hurts so much to see politically what's going on right now. What our executive administration is doing to universities. It's just sickening. Those are such important places for people to become themselves. They're not programmed. They're given an infrastructure to become themselves, to find themselves, and then share with the world. That's what happens at a university. So I had that community. So when I came here, it was like community. There is community here. There was already community here. But I just worked to find what I could do in this community and how I could help to grow this community.
Tell me about some of the things you've built, including the online programs that I was part of.
Yeah, so after I retired from teaching at Cal State San Bernardino in 2018, it took me a year of being here full time. One was I felt that the dialogue about photography needed a little more sophistication. And since I had taught photography at that point for over 35 years, I thought maybe I could do something about that. So I started the Joshua Tree Center for Photographic Arts. Started having lectures and critiques. And that was, the end of 2019. So March 2020, pandemic hit. So I took everything online. And that went on for a while until I got very involved in my Joshua Tree project, which we'll talk about, and just knew that I needed to take a hiatus from the photo center and really focus on the Joshua Tree project, Desert Forest Life with Joshua Trees. But also, I was involved, I believe it was also in 2018, in the community group that helped develop the Morongo Basin Strategic Plan for Arts and Culture. Out of that, I became the facilitator for a group called JTAP, Joshua Tree Arts Professionals, which was pretty much the brainchild of myself, Rhonda Coleman, and Bernard Lebov. The three of us thought, we need to have a regular meeting, networking of arts leaders in the Morongo Basin. We kind of came up with this while we were working on the strategic plan. I took on the role of facilitator, and 3 or 4 times a year, we bring together all the arts leaders. So that's in the visual, performing, literary arts, people who run nonprofits, who serve on boards, people who run arts businesses. And we get together to network and share resources and just get to know each other and how we can best meet the needs for this community. So those have been 2 of the things that I've been doing here.
That kind of long-term thinking feels rare and necessary. What are your plans for the future?
Well, JTAP is going to continue. At our last gathering, that's what we called them, instead of meeting, we talked about the need in this community for a arts calendar that is accessible by not only the community here, but by tourists, and what would be the best way to do that. And also, there's a need for community shared workspace, just a lot of things that are developing in this community already, but we discuss that and how we can better facilitate that. I am planning on getting programs going again for the Joshua Tree Center for Photographic Arts as my work with Desert Forest Life with Joshua Trees, which we can talk about.
Let's talk about it now.
Well, this project started in 2020, actually, during the pandemic. And I spent 4 years focused on developing an exhibition and a book and community programming, which looks at the impacts that climate change, development, fires, and other human activities is having on the Joshua Tree. And I was very fortunate to receive a grant from the Getty to be part for this project, to be part of PST Art and Science Collide, which is a program that they fund every 3 to 4 years. This specific year, which was Art and Science Collide, they funded 70 exhibitions in Southern California and some with publications to look at lots of intersections of art and science. The Joshua Tree was perfect for this. And the exhibition was at MOA Lancaster. That's the Museum of Art and History in Lancaster, which is a beautiful contemporary museum. And the exhibition had over 50 artists in it. It was held in, I think, 7 galleries over 2 floors. So it's a very expansive project. And we published a book, which is the most comprehensive, multidisciplinary book ever written about Joshua trees, that has all the art that was in the exhibition, plus historic imagery and essays, 17 essays by experts in every field. So we're talking about history and science, conservation, public policy, indigenous knowledge. It's all in that book. And, this was the last 4 years of my life. I was fortunate to have such an incredible team to work with, over 75 people, and also to bring in Juniper Harrower as the associate curator of the project about halfway through. Juniper was born and raised in Joshua Tree. Her family is still here. She's an assistant professor of studio art at Reed College in Oregon. And as well as being a wonderful artist, she's a brilliant scientist and one of the top scientists doing research with Joshua trees. So she came on as associate curator and as my co-editor for the book. She's extraordinary, and just together we were able to multiply our efforts. We now have a smaller exhibition right here in Joshua Tree at Hey There Projects called Our Desert Forest. And what I did for this exhibition, with the help of Mark Todd and Aaron Smith, who own Hey There Projects, is curate an exhibition of the artists who were in Desert Forest, Getty supported exhibition, and are in the book Desert Forest, and feature them in the gallery, just those 15 artists who live here in the Morongo Basin. The exhibition is up until June 12th, 2025. And on Saturday, May 24th, I don't know if this podcast will be before or after, at 3:00, will be an artist and curator talk.
Where can they buy the book?
Oh, the book is available at Joshua Tree National Park information centers, which I think there's 5 or 6 of them in, all of the towns here. It's available at Hey There Projects, available at Desert General, yes, and available at your favorite online store. The book was published by Inlandia Institute, which is located in Riverside and focuses on books in the inland region. And they're a wonderful publisher. I just wanted to give them a little plug. Where can you see my work? I have a few pieces in the Desert Forest show, or Our Desert Forest, for at Hey There Project. Where else is my work being exhibited?
You said it's in museums, or was that just one-time shows?
Oh, no. My work is in many collections. I was just in a large exhibition at the National Galleries of Scotland in Edinburgh. I just had a installation of my photo sculptures. Trees and Seedlings were in a show there. I've got some other shows coming up in the future. Look for me at Sant Khalsa on Instagram, Facebook, my website, santkhalsa.com, and you can get more information about where and when I'm exhibiting.
Terrific. Do you know, I got a review of my work with somebody who was an editor at The Guardian. And at the end, he said, I think you need to look up Sant Khalsa.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised I hadn't told you that.
No, I didn't know that. So I have 2 monographs published of my work. One is called Prana Life with Trees, and the other one is Crystal Clear Western Waters. That's published by Minor Matter Books, and Prana Life with Trees is Griffith Moon. And my work is in a lot of collections of artworks and photographs related to environmental issues. So the work is out there. You just have to Google me and you'll find. It was involved in a 4-part documentary that was released in Europe and will be released in streaming in the US soon. The director of that project was Joanne Forster. The producer was Chloe Chapman, and Rick Rubin was the executive producer on that project.
Had a pretty comprehensive, very rich, amazing life.
Well, you know, I've had some incredible inspiration. I've known so many amazing people, and they've had such influence on me. You know, just this weekend, I went to Printed Matter, which is, the LA Art Book Fair. And I went with Mary Virginia Swanson, Swanee. Many people will know her in the photo world. And just spending a couple of days with her was just so inspiring. You know, all my teachers, I can just name a zillion people, Naomi Rosenblum, Beverly Wilgus, Alan Coleman, Walker Evans, Minor White, Jerry Stephanie, Daryl Curran, Eileen Cowan, Ellen Burrell. And then I got to collaborate with all these other photographers on the Water in the West project, like Mark Klett and Robert Dawson and Terry Evans and Sharon Stewart, and work with curators like Colin Westerbeck and Tim Ride and Betty Brown and Patricia Watts. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Just so many incredibly talented and brilliant people that I have been able to rub shoulders with and be inspired by.
So it sounds like you fall in love with people too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we can learn so much from them and about ourselves and about our place in the world from the people that we spend time with.
As we're wrapping up, I have 2 more questions. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, what would I tell my younger self? Not to be so insecure. It's funny. I mean, I'm still insecure. So I would tell my younger self, don't be so insecure, and don't think that you know everything. That life is a journey. You'll learn a lot of lessons along the way. Most important is to be good to yourself and be good to everyone else.
Good one.
and take care of the natural world. We need to realize that the resources on this planet are finite and that we can live much simpler lives. Like I mentioned before, the air we breathe is given to us by all the plants and trees on the planet, and the water in our bodies comes from the rivers and the streams and the aquifers. And we should take care of the planet and preserve the planet.
Honor our resources.
Well, not think of them as resources. When we think of them as resources, then we think of them as something for us. I have had the great opportunity to be friends with Louis DeSoto. We've been friends for almost 50 years. And I've gotten to know Sean Milanovich working on Desert Forest, who is a Kauai historian, and one of the artists, several of the artists in Desert Forest, Gerald Clark, who is Kauai, Kara Romero, who is Chemehuevi. And I am learning so much from them and their connection to the earth, which they, where they see everything, the rocks, the trees, all as beings. They all have spirit. They all have energy. I would say, if anything, my spiritual practice has moved more into a connection with nature as the spiritual practice, as being nature, being part of it, and having that awareness. I feel like we have so much to learn from the indigenous people and the native people who we live on their land. I am grateful for having them as friends.
That's really important in case somebody from another country heard this. That was Native American tribes you were mentioning. And to wrap this up, what do you see happening here in Joshua Tree? Because this is a very vital, alive place.
Joshua Tree is growing, and many people are worried about that. I think it's really important that we look at how that growth happens, and that it happens in a sustainable way that doesn't deplete our aquifers, that doesn't cut down Joshua trees, that we really consider its impact on the environment and its impact on economics. All those things sustaining this area. I personally am enjoying meeting all the new people who are coming here from everywhere, because they're coming here because they're seeking this beautiful desert to live in and this wonderful creative community. So I do want to welcome people to come here, just like I was welcomed, but I'm very concerned about climate change and the fact that scientists have said that there's a good chance by 2100 that maybe 10% of the trees will be left in Joshua Tree National Park because of rising temperatures and less rain. I'm really concerned about that. We need to work together to deal with climate change, not just as a community, but as a state, as a nation, as a planet.
It's a wonderful goal anyway, for all of us to work together. Community, connection, inspiration, planting seeds, everything you've been talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm still planting trees. I mean, now I'm planting them here in the desert.
Good.
But on the property I live on.
Good.
It's not really mine. It belongs to the indigenous people who were here. And we colonized it. So I just say the land I live on.
Nice. Well, thank you. That was great.
Thank you for this opportunity to share a bit of my life and my ideas.
That brings us to the end of this two-part conversation with Sant Khalsa. I hope you felt the presence, purpose, and quiet insight that she brings to everything she touches. If this episode moved you, please consider subscribing to Driftwood Conversations. And if you're already a listener, thank you. Share this episode with somebody who might enjoy it today. I'm Hillary Sloan. I'll meet you back here soon with more stories shaped by time, spirit, and place.